Alright guys, let's fire the stream up. Whoo! Testing, 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 testing. Make sure the stream goes okay. It looks like it fired up okay. Let's take a look at the thumbnail. Make sure it looks good. Second here. Good. Thumbnail looks good. Perfect, guys. Starting a little early tonight. Drink of choice. We're doing a little Mountain Dew Code Red. And if I go through that, I got myself some IBC cream soda to go with next. I'm starting the stream a little early, just to make sure everything goes according to plan. I rebooted my PC a couple minutes ago to make sure it was okay. I couldn't get my little side monitor to connect, so it's okay now. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Tonight we're going to be talking about, as you might have saw on the thumbnail, we're talking Game of Thrones. The Season 8 premiere happened last night. Spoiler-free stream tonight. We're not talking spoilers for the particular show, but I'm going to be talking a little bit about Game of Thrones, some of the little products I have, and a sneak peek of the review that's going to be coming up this Thursday. As an item I picked up a while ago, I went through my catalog and I thought I talked about the item in a video. I never did a review on it. I'm like, well, Rook, how come you didn't do a review on this one? You need to do a review, and especially with the new series of HBO on Game of Thrones, I figured it's time to do this particular review. So hopefully we'll get some people into the stream tonight. If not, that's okay. You'll hear me talk, get the video on demand, and you'll hear what I talk about for Game of Thrones. So hopefully it'll be a good stream. Hopefully we'll have some people in here tonight. Again, drink tonight's choice. We're doing some Mountain Dew Code Red. It's going to be a decent stream. I'll talk about some of the things for Game of Thrones, some properties, some items I have, some collectibles, and where I think the series is going to go, at least from my personal opinion. Hopefully, again, I'm not going to go any spoilers. I'm going to keep it spoiler-free tonight, and I'll give you my thoughts on the series, at least from my perspective. Let's take a look over here. Let's refresh the page. Excuse me. My cold is getting better. Just a little bit tired, a little bit sore. I'm happy I saw it last night when it premiered, because a lot of people were spoiling it at work today. And my girl was extremely busy today, so it was very, very good. We were going to watch it tonight before the stream, but we watched it last night. I thought that was a much better idea, and she agrees. So it was a much better idea to do it last night, which was on the premiere. We actually watched it on the HBO Go app, and it came up before 9 o'clock, like around 8:55-ish, give or take. The HBO Go already had it prepped and ready to go. So we were watching it prior to 9 o'clock. So it was really, really cool getting it a couple minutes before HBO really kicked off at 9 p.m. So I thought it was a good episode. I'll give you my thoughts, my interpretations on it. I've only watched the first 15 minutes as far as WWE goes for the Superstar Shakeup. I've only watched the first 15 minutes of it. Please, no spoilers in the chat. Please, please, please. Again, drink of choice is third plug tonight for Mountain Dew Code Red. So, we're talking Game of Thrones. It's probably the most recent generation's big kind of feeling of a great long lineage storyline. They had it, if we look back at older, let's say either in film or in media or in books, I mean, you had Star Wars back in the 70s. Probably I would say the late 90s, early 2000s, you had Harry Potter as a big sort of franchise that people got behind. And now Game of Thrones is no different. They did make, according to George R. R. Martin, the guy who created Game of Thrones, it was supposed to be 7 books. He's stuck in book limbo right now of book 6. I've not read the entire Game of Thrones novel, and the novels are veer off completely based on the HBO show. They're very much different. Hey, Jackie, thanks for coming into the stream tonight. There is a lot of difference with the Game of Thrones novels compared to the TV show. There's characters that were alive in the books but were dead in the show, and people that were dead in the show which are alive in the books. So there's a lot of they sort of verge off in different directions. People who were originally a character we recognized on the TV show were combined into 2 characters from the books. So there's a lot of differential between the books and the actual TV show. I definitely enjoy it. I really like it. My girl spent the entire week, last week, getting caught up on Game of Thrones. We watched it before, all the way through, but she was watching it, like, binged watched it from, like, season 1, up until season 7. We watched the last 2 episodes Saturday night to get caught up for season 8. Now, season 8 of Game of Thrones is shorter. As I mentioned, it's supposed to be 7 books. George R. R. Martin has only written up to book 6 now. He's not finished book 6. Book 6, he's been sitting sort of in book limbo, as I just mentioned, for about 4 or 5 years now. And people were concerned because the HBO series surpassed the books as far as what books were available based on the content of the HBO show. So the books themselves now are completely different than the TV show. Series 8, there isn't a book 8 that's coming out from Game of Thrones. It's stopping at 7 books. Originally it was supposed to be a trilogy, but because George R. R. Martin had so much more material, he decided to lengthen the story and make it even more. So, Season 8, which is what we have right now, only has 6 episodes. That's all we have for Game of Thrones. The first episode was 55 minutes in length. Again, no spoilers. I'm not going to spoil anything. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, I'm not going to spoil anything for you if you haven't seen it yet. I want to try to steer clear of spoilers. But I will state this. It was sort of a get-caught-up episode. They sort of broke a lot of ground. One of them. Very cool, Rainbow Optimus. Rainbow Optimus, do you have a iPhone or Android device? If you have Android, I can give you a way to sort of get Game of Thrones without really getting Game of Thrones. Let's put it that way. There's an app you can download if you have Android. It's a free app. You don't have to pay anything for it. And they have literally everything. If you're not familiar with it, if you have Android, it's an app called P.O.Box. And they have bunches of TV shows, bunches of movies. If you're looking for a particular, series, they have that. As I mentioned, here's Game of Thrones. Hold on, gotta get rid of the ad. There's Game of Thrones right there, as you can see. And let's see if they have up to what season they have up to. They have season 8, and they even have season 8, which is what dropped last night. So no plugging, but I'm just saying if you're looking online trying to find it, there are means to get that information. I'm not saying to download it, but I'm saying if you're looking to get it, that's an option for Android devices, which is called P.O.Box. It's a pretty cool application. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything. So, what I thought about the series, it was, like I said, it was a get caught up episode. They tied up a lot of loose ends. They're getting people who haven't seen each other in multiple series. A character might have splintered off from another character in like season 3, season 4, and now they're getting back together in season 8. As I mentioned, season 8 is only 6 episodes. I believe last 2 episodes are motion picture length as far as, it's not a movie length. I think the last episode is an hour and 30 minutes, and I think the episode 5 is an hour and 20 minutes, but it's big budget production value, meaning they're going out in all stops, they're pulling out all the stops for those last 2 episodes. As far as budgetary reasons. So it's going to be extremely high budgeted, and it's going to be about an hour and 20 to hour 30 minutes in length. Again, no spoilers. I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys. But it's only going to be 6 episodes in this season, and then it's gone. However, they are making a prequel to Game of Thrones. HBO has already picked up the pilot for it, and I believe George R. R. Martin is going to be part of it again. And it's going to take place thousands of years before the Game of Thrones continuity that we know now. It's a prequel, so it's going to you might even see stuff like the White Walkers, how they were created. You'll see how the wall was built, things like that. The big icons, the big landmarks that are in Game of Thrones will be really highlighted in this series. What I think is going to happen. If you don't want to read the novels are extremely, extremely long. I've read almost completed the very first book. I need to reread it. I got about to the last 2 or 3 chapters. I just put the book down. Has nothing to do with the book. I just had no time to finish it. I want to eventually read it again. But if you're looking for something that will give you that Game of Thrones itch, but without reading a novel, if you're a comic book fan, I believe either Dynamite Studios, or I think it's either Dynamite Studios or IDW, one of the two, has a adaptation based on the books in comic form. It's not based on the HBO series, it's based on the novels. So I think it's, I want to say it's like 16 to 20 books each one, I believe. Let's see here. Awesome, Rainbow. I respect that. A lot of people have heard of Game of Thrones, might not be into it, and that's fine. It is a very geeky thing. A lot of people who are geeks like Game of Thrones. I love it. Incest intrigue, political intrigue, backstabbing. You have political fights. You have military campaigns. It's a very, very cool and very in-depth show. If you blink, you'll miss a plot point. You have to really focus on the show, or you'll miss something. It can get confusing rather quickly. But I really, really like the show. I think HBO is smart to pick it up. It's the highest rated show on cable TV. It's won, I don't know how many Emmys, how many Grammys. It's won a silly amount of awards. But that being said, like I said, the prequel is going to be very, very cool. I think it's very cool. But to go back to the comic, I think it's 20 issues per book, or 21 issues per book, and they take the Game of Thrones novel and make it in comic book form. You'll see the characters how they're really represented in the books, sort of adapted to comic book format. And I know that the first Game of Thrones books is 4 trade paperbacks, or hardcover paperbacks, and those make up the first physical book, Game of Thrones. And they're doing one of these, I believe, for every novel. It's like 20 or 24 pages, or 24 issues long. Will make up an entire run of the comic. It's very, very cool. It's very, very neat. So I want to talk a little bit about Game of Thrones as far as collectibles. Excuse me. Get drink of choice tonight is Mountain Dew Cherry, Code Red. So I have a couple collectibles I want to talk about. First, I don't have a whole lot of minifigures for Funko. I do have quite a few though, but not a ton of them. I want to say, let me look here if I have a year on this one. This is 2014. In 2014, they came out with the Funko Mini Mysteries for Game of Thrones. This happens to be the Hot Topic version. And why I'm showcasing this for you is that at the time, and even now, they do different varieties as far as rarity figures. Different, how it appears how it appears in the case, how rare it is. For example, the Jaime Lannister, which is 1 out of 144, which is what this one is, which is the Chase Rare. However, this guy right here, which is kind of funny, which is the Jon Snow Beyond the Wall. He has white hair right there. Hopefully you can see it. It's this one right there. This one right there. Hopefully it will focus. Focus. Focus, camera. May not focus. I'm trying to get it to focus. Come on. But it's that one right there. That's 2 of 24. And that one's a Hot Topic exclusive. What I found very, very odd was that particular figure goes for more money right now, or did, than the Jaime Lannister 1 of 144 rarity, which was very, very odd. And not only do I have one of those Jon Snows, but I have 2 of them, which are right here. What made it different than the normal version is that he has the white hair on the top of the head. It's very hard to see, but it's sort of the white tinge here on the top. And of course, if you were curious, these figures do have articulation. Head does spin around. What makes these figures, this figure, when it first came out, when people were really looking for this figure, it was going between $50 and $60 just for this figure alone. And as I mentioned, I have 2 of these guys right here. It was kind of odd pulling them. I didn't intentionally go into Hot Topics when I was trying to collect some of these figures, and I wasn't trying to get them. And of course, Jon Snow has his faithful companion Ghost, which I have Ghost as well, the little direwolf. He does have head articulation right there. I don't know how much he would cost. He was part of the first series, I believe. Or I could be wrong. Let me make sure on that one there. Yep, he was 2 of 24, if you were curious about his rarity. But I have these on my shelf. I have both these 2 guys sitting next to each other, because it just makes sense. Then they came out with the second wave. They've made at least, I want to say at least 4 or 5 waves of these guys. And I picked up the second wave, which was this one here, which was more of a gray box. Different looking characters. You have Jon Snow right there. And they did do different rarities again. It wasn't as crazy, but the dragons were at the bottom were the high rarity ones, which were these guys right there. Drogon was 1 out of 72, and he was metallic. You had a normal Drogon, and he was 1 of 24 right there. That would be more of a uncommon, harder to get figure, I believe. Yeah, harder to get figure. The one I really picked up from that wave was the Red Viper, which was this guy right here. I just love this character in the books. Martell. Oberyn Martell, that was his name. And I really liked this character. He was one of the characters that really stood out to me. He was just really a badass on the show, and I loved this character. I thought he was very, very cool. If you notice, his head is a little goofed up here, but that's the way this figure was. The plug's coming out the bottom here, so you see the neck kind of sticking out. But that's okay. Not too worried about that. Some of the items I want to showcase off to you guys. I picked it up at a toy hunt a couple years ago, and I talked about it on the channel before, and it was the Iron Throne. If you notice, it's New York Comic Con exclusive limited edition. This is number 38. They have newer ones of this using the same Game of Thrones, the Iron Throne, but you have different characters sitting on the throne. You have Tyrion on it, you have Daenerys on it, you have Jon Snow, the Night King, all sitting on Cersei, all sitting on the Iron Throne. But this was with the original release of the Iron Throne. That's what it looks like on the back if you were curious. It's number 38. This happened to be part of Wave 5. Which are these guys right here. I like it. I think it's very, very neat. One of the things you can do, and I've done it before, is you can put the mini pops on it here, or you can put a normal pop on the Iron Throne. I think it's a very, very cool gimmick if you're looking to go that road. Ah, yes. I know that one. I know that figure very well, Rainbow Optimus. I've seen it at a couple discount stores. It seems a lot of them have that Daenerys figure. She shouldn't be too difficult to get, Rainbow. You just have to look around. I would check, let's say, if you can find, let's say, 5 and below, they might have it. I think 2 for Tuesday, I think it's called. They had about 3 or 4 of them a couple days ago, but they are available. I think they cost about $3.99 or $4.99. I think what the price was for that one. I saw the figure. I was like, I do have the Jon Snow figure from that wave. The Jon Snow one, I do have the Legacy Collection series. I was like, I don't know if I want to pick it up or not. I do want to give you guys a sneak peek of Thursday's review. And I didn't do this Funko review yet. I showcased it, talked about it. Oh, thanks, Rainbow. 5 and Below is really cool. It's sort of an upscale dollar store. I talked about this in another video. It was the Wonder Woman Invisible Jet video when I did my review. I showcased the size of this against it, but I didn't do the review on it. I looked through the videos and I didn't do it, so this is going to be Thursday's review. We're going to do, in honor of Game of Thrones, we're going to do Daenerys with Drogon. Of course, this was re-sculpted to do Viserion and the Night King, which is a glow in the dark version. It's the same sculpt, but using the Night King instead of Daenerys. But this is going to be done this coming Thursday. That'll be that review. So a little sneak peek of Thursday's review. But I do really, really like Game of Thrones. What else do you guys think about it? Let me know in the chat, please, what you think about it. We only have about 3 people in the chat tonight. I thought it'd be a little bit more people, but apparently a lot of people don't want to talk Game of Thrones. But that's fine. That's fine by me. If people want to talk Game of Thrones, we can. If we don't have to. But I was pleasantly pleased with that episode. I was happy. What happened with it. I haven't watched every episode, AA. I've watched every episode of Game of Thrones. I don't remember some of them, but a lot of them I do remember. It is, like I said, 7 seasons. This is the 8th season that just started last Sunday. And that's only going to be 6 episodes. So I really like Game of Thrones, but it is an adult TV show. It's not a TV show for kids. It's not meant for kids because there's a lot of violence. There's sexual content on it. It's a rated R show. It's a show for adults. But if you like political intrigue, do you like espionage, do you like backstabbing, do you like military encounters, do you like combat, if you're into blood and gore, this might be the show for you. If you do want to watch it, I highly recommend start at the beginning. Jason Momoa's character, Khal Drogo, represented a group called the Dothraki. He was the main guy. He was like their king. He ruled the Dothraki. He was like their champion. He was betrothed to Daenerys Targaryen. Now, the Daenerys character you're seeing on HBO, the actress who plays her is much older in real life. The Daenerys character in the book started when she was the book started when she was 14, because they would have been a little bit underage for the things that happened in the TV show. She's older in the show. She's 17 in the show. That's the age of when she begins her storyline. But in the real books, she's 14 years old. So it's kind of a little bit on the underage consent sort of thing, if you understand what I mean. Khal Drogo, of course, Jason Momoa plays the Khal Drogo character. He had a prominent role in the series. Yeah, I would do it absolutely. If you're going to resubscribe to HBO, I would probably watch it from the beginning, especially if you might be watched it sporadically or watched it and you don't remember a whole lot of what happened. I'd watch it from the beginning to the end. That's how I would do it. I wouldn't just jump into season 8 right now, because you're going to be completely confused about some. They'll drop a little plot point, or someone will hold an item up which they haven't talked about something for several seasons, and you're going to be confused about what happened. So I would definitely watch it from the beginning all the way to the end. That's how I would do it. At least from my personal opinion. Like I said, my girlfriend decided to watch it. She binge watched it for an entire week. She watched, like, literally, it was a season a day. She literally binge watched it that much. And it drew her in like a soap opera. It might be. If you do have Android, you might want to go to Showbox. You can get it that way for free. If you're going to go that route. If you're going to go down that road. I'm not sure if it's on Hulu, but it may be. But I'm not sure because I don't have Hulu. But you can look for it that way. Again, I only saw the first 15 minutes of the Superstar Shakeup. I'll be watching it after the stream tonight. So there was a lot of chatter what would happen today for the Superstar Shakeup, at least from the Raw perspective of it. There was a lot of news that dropped, especially with Sasha Banks, things like that in the news cycle today. But as far as Game of Thrones go, very good show. One stream I'm going to probably talk about in the near future. Okay, cool. One thing I'll probably talk in the near future in the stream about is another series of books I have read. I'm very far behind on them. He's up to book 16 right now. She hasn't quit, but she almost quit. They probably, if you get Hulu, they attack another charge onto it. I see what they do. There's another series of books that came out by an author by the name of Jim Butcher. If you've never read the books, they're very, very cool. Let me grab one so you can kind of see what it would look like. It's in my bookshelf over here. I'll grab this one right here. If you've never heard of it, it's called The Dresden Files. If you like sort of a take on, it takes place in the modern era. It's a guy who is a wizard. He lives in Chicago, and he's the only wizard with his name in the Yellow Pages. Very good book. If you're a fan of modern fantasy, with a supernatural twist to it, think of, let's say, the Supernatural TV show come to life. This may be a series for you, and I will definitely talk about this at a later stream. I really like the Dresden Files. I haven't even looked. I haven't even noticed it was Small Favors. This was book. I've read this one already. And if you don't know what it looks like, that's Jim Butcher right there. Very cool. Very, very cool book. If you've never read the Dresden Files, I highly recommend it. It was a TV series. It only made one season. It was on Sci-Fi. The guy who plays one of the characters in Arrow plays Harry Dresden. So it's a very cool show. Blackwood, I believe his name is. Blackthorn. Blackthorn. It's a very cool TV show. It has a feel to the books, but it's not really the books. Have I seen the new figures at Target yet? No, I haven't. I haven't seen them yet. Are you talking action figures or Funko? If you're talking Funko, I've seen the Funko stuff. Action figures, I have not seen any new action figures for Game of Thrones yet. The new wave of Funko stuff already came out. But yeah, uh, game. Swinging over to Dresden Files, I will talk about that more in depth on another stream. But Game of Thrones, I really do like it. I think it's a very very cool show. Again, more adult oriented than, let's say, your typical show. I would say if people who are coming, let's say, from Harry Potter and they want more of an adult content because they have grown up watching Harry Potter, that is something probably up their alley. Oh, the McFarlane toys. I've seen the McFarlane Toys version of them. I saw them at Tate's, and yeah, he had those one. Yeah, I see the Jon Snow one. They have a Daenerys one, which came with look like little objects that you would put on the map. That's what it looked like. Actually, she came with like 3 or 4 different little accessories. It looked like some of the icons that you would saw on the map at Dragonstone that she would put out. That's what it looked like to me. Yeah, so I mean that would be what with McFarlane Toys, unfortunately, it's sort of a love-hate relationship for me with them. It's going to be interesting how they handle the new DC property. But the biggest problem I have with McFarlane Toys is they're more action pieces than they were action figures. So I don't know how they're going to handle the DC property. I'm hoping they make figures that were have articulation, hyper articulated like Mattel. I'm really hoping they keep the idea of what they came out with Mattel for McFarlane Toys. Will they? I don't know. I really hope they do. But I did see several of the figures. I know they have a Viserion on which was, of course, the dragon that got blown up. Spoilers, that got blown up in the end of Season 7. He's sitting on top of a post in sort of like imagine a dragon sort of U-shaped. His legs are up, and he's spitting the fire out, and he's on a stand. I don't know how big he is, because they don't really give you a sense of scale for that figure. I'm assuming it's bigger than a normal action figure. I can only assume. One thing that McFarlane Toys can do really, really well, they've done it before with other waves, they can do dragons very, very well. As far as the articulation with the dragons, not so much so. But as far as sculpting goes, they have very, very good sculpts and good designs with their dragons. I'm just hoping they can really bring it to the table when it comes to these properties. I really hope. I don't know if they can or not. We'll just have to see going forward. But I definitely will, I highly recommend Game of Thrones to anyone who's on the fence, who maybe want to watch. Again, if you're watching this on video on demand, thanks for clicking into this video. If you're looking to do Game of Thrones, I would highly recommend watching it from the beginning. Don't start on Season 8 now. Don't start a Season 2 behind. You will have no clue what's going on. Get caught up. Watch it from Season 1 on. Snow Daenerys, the little chick. That's Arya and the Night King. Yep. The Arya one looks very, very good. I like the way the Arya one looks. If I was to buy any of them, it'd probably be Jon Snow and Arya, because she has the needle sword, which is a Valyrian steel weapon. Valyrian steel is a very rare metal in Game of Thrones. It's one of the only items that can destroy a White Walker next to Dragonglass. And I've seen the Arya figure. The sculpt looks good. She has needle and she has her dagger, which is a cat's eye dagger, which she picks up in Season 7. That weapon has a long lineage. It has a big history dating back to Season 1. But she comes with both those weapons. I probably will eventually pick up those two figures, because I do like the Jon Snow figure. It looks better than the Funko one. And I do like the Arya Stark one. I think they both look very, very good. So absolutely getting those figures down the road. But they are a little bit pricey. I mean, you're looking at figures that I don't think they're even in 6-inch scale. I think they're a little smaller than that. But they do look good. They do look really, really good. But yeah. No, they don't. But we're comparing Mattel. You're trying to compare Mattel to McFarlane Toys. You can't really. Or actually, Hasbro. You can't really compare them to. You can't really compare the two. But yeah. I definitely recommend Game of Thrones. If you guys are looking for a good series to dig into, I highly recommend it. It's a very, very good show. And we're coming up to about 9:30 now, guys. I started the stream a little early, and we had about 4 people in the chat tonight. I was hoping for more people, but that's okay. You guys are busy doing your own thing, and that's fine. I want to thank everybody who came into the stream. We'll be cutting it off tonight. About 5 minutes left. I want to head over to watch some Monday Night Raw. So we'll be cutting the stream tonight in 3, 2, 1. Take care, guys. See ya, and bye-bye.